Good evenings, Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, is it racism or race? You tell me. Good evening, good evening. This is Freddie Vasquez with Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight's episode, is it race or is it racism or is it race? Got a little confused. We'll be discussing the fallout from the comments made by Mayor Mike Spano. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, is it racism or is it race? I want to continue the discussion on the fallout from the comments made by Mayor Mike Spano in an interview recently, this past Thursday, on a radio broadcast with Phil Reisman. This evening at 7 o'clock, I caught a little bit, and I'm not sure if you guys saw it, Black Westchester, the podcast, it's called People Before Politics, and they had a panel there who discussed the recent comments made by the mayor. And as you would imagine, they were all upset about it. Some of the members on the panel included the head of the Yonkers NAACP, the president of the Yonkers NAACP, I believe. His name is Reverend William Norman. Is that correct? And also the head of the Westchester Black Women's Democratic Caucus. And I just want to go over a little bit what they said, and then I'll talk about some of the things that I've been kind of just wondering in my head, just kind of thinking about this whole situation. And I did do a podcast about it on Saturday. And, you know, I'll be honest, in my podcast, in my opinion, I didn't all the way agree. But however, I did agree with, you know, that he should make a public comment, right? Public apology or public comment. Just come out and address, you know, the issues. He addressed the comments that he made, and address also and validate people's concern and people who are upset, are angry, and also, more importantly, people who are hurt by the comments, because as we all should know by now, racism is very hurtful to the African-American community. Is something that's very sensitive. It's something that they have dealt with all their lives for many, many years, hundreds of years. And it's 2022, and we still seem to not get it right. So I just want to go over some of the things that were mentioned in the podcast with Black Westchester. Some of the members or some of the panels mentioned that there needs to be more persons of color in leadership positions here in the city of Yonkers. One of the complaints was that there's not enough people of color appointed to leadership positions, right? And I would imagine that they're referring to, you know, commissioner of DPW, you know, a police commissioner, you know, maybe commissioner of parks. Although I believe the parks commissioner is in Jose Alvarado, he's a Hispanic, and also in the at the county level, right, as well. But I hear we're talking about Mayor Spano, so I'm going to keep it to the city. And when they're referring to, you know, appointments of African Americans, and they also mentioned the civil service exams, right? Not enough blacks are filling the city jobs. Now, that's been an issue and a constant complaint and concern by the African-American community here, leaders in the African-American community, in regards to positions within city jobs, like in the police department, specifically the fire department. Also, there's been a big issues in the past with hiring of colored, those of color. No, I don't want to say, I've already used the word colored. No, you know, people of color, you know, African-American and Hispanics, you know, and then other departments within the city, right? That's one thing they mentioned. And also, you know, just the testing, right? Why aren't enough people of color being selected when taking the civil service exam? And I will mention one of the, you know, one of the things that were said, I guess, in opposition to that was that there weren't enough people of color taking the exams. And then those that did take the exam weren't scoring high enough. Right. I mean, I don't know. I hate to just jump and say, wow, that they're being racist. They just because I don't know the test scores and all that. And look, is there discrimination? Are people getting put ahead of the line? Absolutely, 1,000%. 1,000%. Is it based on color? Possibly, but I think a lot of it is also based on your last name and who you know. Right? That definitely is probably the number one way of getting there. But also, are enough people of color taking the exams? I know I offered to pay for 5 individuals to take the exam. I didn't get anyone to take me up on the offer. I mean, it wasn't just of anyone of a specific color, but anyone that might have needed some financial assistance and wanted to take the police exam but could not afford to take it. I offered to pay for it. I didn't get one person to take me up on that offer. The panel did agree that they need to come together. The leaders and organization, the African American leaders, African American organizations need to come together and really be adamant about demanding a public apology from the mayor. They're not going to let this go. They're not going to let this go, and they feel that a public apology is necessary. And the fact that he hasn't mentioned anything since Thursday shows his blatant disregard for the African American community. Is that what you think? Do you agree with those statements? All right. Again, they go on to say that he has a record of not putting blacks and Hispanics in leadership positions. Reverend Frank Coleman Jr., is it Coleman Jr.? I'm sorry, says the black community speaks up. However, no one listens, right? Because I guess he was saying that people many times say that, people are not speaking up. People don't, the black community don't say, hey, this is what we need. They don't stand up. They don't fight hard for the black community. But he's saying that they do. Members of the black community, leaders within the black community do speak up. However, their voices fall on deaf ears. Their cries go unheard. Right. Karan Norman, I'm sorry, says we need to I'm sorry. He needs. This is. I'm sorry. I had such terrible handwriting, man. I got to add right fast. He says, Karan Norman says that we need to shame the leaders who don't speak out. And, that's something that I've mentioned in podcasts before, right? We do. We have to call out people who don't speak out. And I'm not just referring to racism, but just any issue that we have here in the city that we feel is important. We have to call leaders out. And that's what I've been doing, right? I've been calling them out. I've been putting them on the spot. Because this is your job, and you've got to address the concerns of the constituents, right, of the residents, of the people that live here in the city. In my research, kind of figuring out, what I was going to say today and get some information, for the podcast, I came across a Yonkers Times article from 2019, right? In the article, it was about a letter that was written to the Yonkers Times by a city resident by the name of Judith Bauer. Now, I'm not sure if Judith Bauer is African American, but I'm going to assume based on what she said in her letter. And what she was actually saying in the letter was in support of Mayor Mike Spano and simultaneously criticizing Council Member Shanae Williams. In the letter for dated September 19, 2020, she thanked the mayor, Mike Spano, for his support of the Black Lives Matter mural and agreed it was an appropriate location right there in front of the Veterans mural. She also goes on to say that that Mayor Spano has promoted African American and women in his administration. She mentioned Reverend William Norman and his appointment by the mayor as the new Veterans Affairs Director. She also mentioned Shanae Williams' appointment to City Council. And then she goes on to say, while the mayor had appointed Shanae Williams to City Council, she complained about being passed up for a promotion within the mayor's office, where she began her career in politics. I'm not sure many of you know, but Council Member Shanae Williams began her political career back in 2011, actually, when she interned for the mayor up in Albany, when he was, I believe, in the assembly. Right. And then in 2012, she came in and he hired her to work in the mayor's office before appointing her to City Council for District 1. Now, Shanae Williams, if you don't know, is an African-American woman. Also a member of the Westchester Black Women's Democratic Caucus. In the letter, she goes on to say that she goes on to mention Shanae Williams served as an intern in 2011 for Mayor Mike Spano in Albany, and then hired in 2012 to work with the mayor in his office for 4 years. Right. According to the letter, her salary, and she's talking about Councilwoman Shanae Williams, almost doubled from 2012 to 2017. In 2008, Spano appointed her to city council despite opposition from the city council members at the time. The letter goes on to say that while she did not receive support or endorsement from the Democratic Party, it was Mayor Spano's endorsement that helped her through a very tough primary. Because of this, as well as his recent promotion of people of color in his administration, the mayor should be applauded and not condemned. And the reason why I read that letter is because the letter is from a resident of Yonkers, African-American woman who goes on to, give the mayor credit on his, on how he's handled things here in the city, specifically how he has, helped the African-American community. And then she goes on to mention Shanae Williams. Now, why did I bring up Shanae Williams? Because Shanae Williams, being a member of the Westchester Black Women's Caucus, Democratic Caucus, and also a current councilwoman for District 1, has not mentioned anything, has not made any public statement, not that I know of, and I could be wrong. So if she has, someone please let me know. But I haven't heard anything. And I also have not heard much from, the council in general that consists of 4 Black women, 3 African-American, 1 Latina, but all Black. Now, should we be hearing more from the city council? Why aren't they saying more? Shanae Williams was very vocal about the promotion of Fireman Richard LaPeruta back in 2019 to fire lieutenant. I don't know if many of you know or remember, back in 2017, Fireman Richard LaPeruta, I don't know if I'm saying this wrong, Richard LaPeruta had made comments on his Facebook post comparing African Americans to apes. That's right, folks. In 2017, a Yonkers fireman, Richard LaPeruta, compared African Americans to apes in a Facebook post. This angered many in the African-American community, of course, obviously. It should have angered everyone, I believe, in the African-American community, specifically the leaders and members and organizations who vowed to get their revenge at the ballot. In 2019, they promoted Richard LaPeruta to fire lieutenant. Council member Shanae Williams did protest. They did protest. However, it was that same year that there was a term extension and the mayor was voted back in. Although they threatened to get back revenge at the box, he was still voted in. He was still given a 3rd term extension. So where was the fire? Where was the action? What's going on? Again, they vowed to get, to win respect back at the ballot. Well, he overturned the term limits and he still was voted in after the promotion. So why would he apologize now? Why would he apologize now? Technically he's done unless he gets another term extension, but then that would require, the approval of 4 Black women. So does this nail it? Does this put the nail in the coffin for a 4th term bid for Mayor Spano? Or will Tasha Diaz vote anyway with the majority to vote anyway to extend the terms? She'll say something like, wasn't really racist. Guys, he was dancing with me and twerking with me at DMX's party on School Street. He's not a racist. He's not a racist. Like I said in the podcast on Saturday, I focus on what I can control, right? We can work on assuring that the next elections, you actually mean what you say. You're going to get it back at the ballots? Well, we can't focus on the mayor because more than likely he's not going to be up for election for mayor. He may run for something else, maybe assembly. And at that point, again, you can take your revenge out on the ballot. It's great to issue press releases, but it has to be united. And it looks really, crazy to me that you have the Yonkers NAACP issuing a press release. You have the Westchester Black Women's Democratic Caucus issuing a press release. An organization that member of council, Shanae Williams, is a part of, yet not a peep from the Yonkers City Council that consists of 4 Black women. Majority of the council is African American. Even if she, Carlos Sanz Dominican, still African American in her DNA. I'm quite sure. And not a peep. So it doesn't look unified, guys. It doesn't look like we're organized and we're unified there. So some of you are not on the same page. And why isn't Shanae Williams being more vocal? She was vocal about the firemen, right? So why isn't she saying anything now? The mayor does not care. He vetoed the AHO. He has no respect for the community. Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because that was also something that was mentioned on the podcast on Black Westchester, the People Before Politics. They mentioned that the mayor has no regard for African Americans because he vetoed the housing ordinance. And okay, you can have that point, but let me make one myself. The majority leader, who is an African American woman, right, did not override that veto. She voted no to override the veto after saying she was in full support. Now there's 4 African American women on the council, and we don't see anything in regards to the housing ordinance. You can't put it on just Mike Spano. I'm not defending Mike Spano either. What I'm doing is trying to put accountability onto the city council. And I'm also trying to continue to shed light on the puppets that they really are. Right? It was Mike Spano and his team that supported, endorsed, and got the city council president, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, into office. An African-American woman, making her the first African-American woman to sit as city council president. It's not a good thing. By the way, it's African American History Month, February. So I my thing about the conversation on the Black Westchester podcast is that they didn't seem to put any accountability, although they did share my comment that I made about the city council. Once, the first one, the only one I made 2 comments, but they didn't put any accountability on the city council. Remember, they do have a role in things. They are the checks and balances of the mayor you claim to be racist, or claim to have made comments that are have racial undertone and are words that are weaponized, against a black man, that were used to weaponize law enforcement against a black man, and not a peep from the city council. And you guys have not said nothing to the city council about it. Why is that? Am I confusing? I'm sorry. Am I mixing, politics with, whatever policy? I get that, but I mean, a statement was issued. Why not address it also to the city council? And are they not, do they not bear some responsibility, or should they not be, mentioned for not saying anything? Is that okay? I mean, this is what I'm saying. I just don't understand this. Shanae Williams is very righteous, right? What's up? Where's the comments? Are you being shut down? Are they telling you you can't? Because again, this highlights also the fact that they are not in full control of the position that they sit in. Because if the puppet master says you are not to say anything, that's what they'll do. So were they told to stay quiet? Are they being told to stay quiet? And if that's the case, then there you go, folks. Hey, African-American community. Hey, Hispanic community. Look what's going on, man. We're getting dissed. We're getting dissed here by the city council. They're not backing us. They're not supporting us. They're not representing. They're not saying, hey, Mr. Mayor, that was not cool. You need to make a public apology. If that's what they truly believe. Because again, if they don't believe that it was anything wrong, then okay. And I'm not saying it was or it wasn't. I'm just saying if, many of our African American leaders here in Yonkers, African American community feel a certain way, and the council is a majority African American, then at least why are they not validating the people? And why are not other people not addressing them also for not, backing them up? Back us up. You the checks and balances, right? Check and balance the mayor. You won't hear zero from the council. The mayor got them all on lock. Crickets. But you might hear this.
Let's get it popping.
Well, maybe the majority leader needs to call up the mayor and say, hey, mayor, what did you mean by the interview, by the words and the statement that you made in the interview? Because if you meant what I think you mean, then we're going to.
Let's get it popping.
You know what I'm saying? Where's the let's get it popping now? Where's the let's get it popping now? But if you saw the city council meeting last week on Tuesday, the majority leader was very smitten with those who were speaking, like Tommy Meyer, who in a very baby-like voice congratulated him for successfully getting whatever it was he wanted to get approved. So does the majority leader also talk to the mayor like that when she's not grinding on him to DMX, stop, drop, and roll? Rough Riders, we in here. We are in here. Right? So, yeah, I'm going to hold them accountable because to me, I like to focus on what I can control. You can't control what the mayor is going to say. You can't control what he's going to do next. And the fact that he is most likely not going to be in, the mayor again, he doesn't care to make a public apology. He doesn't feel the need to address it. He's not going to give it any life, so to speak. Why does he have to? And who's going to check him? Who? Who's going to check him? The council? Freddie, don't you know by now Spano owns the city council? They are bought and paid in full. Yeah, well, that's what it appears to be. Right? I think that's a letdown to the Black community and Hispanic community. And again, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just saying if that is how many African Americans feel regarding the statements made by the mayor, and Yonkers NAACP has issued a press release. So has the Westchester Black Women's Democratic Caucus demanding a public apology. They've gone on media outlets to demand this public apology. They intend on gathering together, uniting, and seeking a public apology for the mayor. They are very upset because he has yet to make a public statement since Thursday when he did the interview. And the city council, that is majority African-American, Black women, has said nothing. Because again, I want to highlight what Johnny Limble just said, that they are controlled. And the individuals that control them have told them to keep it quiet. You have a gag order. So African-Americans in the city of Yonkers and Hispanics, you see? Do you see what I'm saying now? Do you understand? So, again, I like to focus on what I can control. So we can control how we vote. We have to come out and make sure that we vote accordingly. We're not going to vote for individuals who are not going to represent us because they're not representing you. And then you got organizations that don't really hold everyone responsible. You have to call these individuals out too, folks. You have to. You have to, because they are elected officials. They are the checks and balances of the mayor, and they're supposed to be doing that. They're supposed to say to the mayor, hey, that's not cool. That wasn't right. My constituents in my district, majority leader, have a lot of African Americans in your district. They're not cool with that. Shanae Williams been known to buck up and say stuff when it comes, to things like this. Now you're quiet. You have a large population of African Americans in your district, and so does Corazon as well. However, they cannot go up against the boss. You can't go against the boss. And the boss is Zahi Jeris, who has ties to the administration, the power that be, the machine. And unless you want continued support and you want to maintain your position in office, you have to operate accordingly. Point blank, period. I just proved it for you. Case closed. Next. It's a letdown to the entire residents that live in this city. I have never seen a council that is so beholden to its master. They have no self-worth. Crickets. Yeah. I mean, nothing. And again, I'm not even saying that I agree or disagree. I'm just saying. I mean, I would think that if this is how people feel, why aren't the members of the council who are women of color saying anything about it? And I wanted to share just something really quick also here, just to show you some of the, see if you can see that there. And that is, that's Shanae Williams. Yonkers Councilwoman Shanae Williams secure historic investment in 2020, adopted budget for Yonkers MBK and YMCA SNUG program. My Brother's Keepers, YMBK. Again, these are also members of the Westchester, Black Westchester Women's Democratic Caucus. You see Shanae somewhere. I'm sorry, picture's very small. But yeah, so she's a member there, Why isn't she in support of the letter that was sent? Why didn't she write a letter also? She's right there in City Hall as well, I like to think. Two appointed to African American Advisory Board. There you go, the mayor. I just wanted to share stuff in my research, what I was finding, and I gotta, share it. All right. So here I wanted to read this. This is something that council member Shanae Williams mentioned. The mayor and I do not agree on everything. He told me that he wouldn't support an 18% affordable housing ordinance, but I will continue to work on it with my council colleagues. Yeah, okay. I also didn't agree with the decision to remove all the trash bins, and we have been working to get them back. That's why it's important to have the ability to negotiate and work together to provide for the community. Yeah? I am my own person. And when I disagree with the mayor, I let him know and we talk about it. And I have discussions and we don't always agree, but we are both working to move Yonkers forward. Sometimes having a good relationship with the mayor is a good thing, said Williams, who asked Democrats in the 1st District for their vote. I like to ask them to look at my record of highlighting health issues important for women and veterans and seniors, and my efforts to focus on the most vulnerable in our community, to make sure we have licenses for all immigrants, and to work with our police department and to clean up vacant lots, and to address the fact that this district has been neglected for far too long. Well, thank God for the developers. Otherwise, it would have stayed that way. I have been proud to support this budget for our parents and for our education. As a lifelong Democrat, I will ask the voters to remember that they have someone currently fighting for them on all levels. Yeah. Okay, well, where's the fight now? Where's the fight now? Where's the fight now? Right? I hear a lot of talk from her, always talking about fighting. Where's the fight now? And here you have the chapter installs new officers and celebrate elected officials. This is the Westchester Black Women's Political Caucus. Is it Political Caucus? PC? I'm sorry. Yeah, Political Caucus. I'm sorry. I was saying it wrong. Saying Democratic Caucus. The Westchester Black Women's Political Caucus, Yonkers chapter, recently celebrated their president and former members who are currently serving the Yonkers community in elected positions. Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins, New York State Senator, Majority Leader, honoree, pro temp honoree, Shanae Williams, Yonkers City Councilwoman, 1st District, Honorable Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, Yonkers City Council President-elect, the first African-American to hold this position. Former members, Honorable Karen N. Best and Honorable Veris B. Shako. Is she going to mention anything? All these women have made history, right? And so as a token of our sisterly love, they were given certificate of recognition. It's great, right? But now they're not champion for you guys and your cause, right? Now they hush, 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 hush. Calladito, no están diciendo nada. Calladito, right? She's an honorary member, pro temp, city council president as well. So am I missing something here? Again. Now, if they were developers, right, and the mayor has said something against the developers, I wonder how you guys would have responded. It's a letdown to the entire city. Yeah, I read that. The judges cannot associate with anything political. Yeah. Maybe publicly, I guess, right? Yeah, publicly. I'm just saying. And I'm not even talking about the judges. Let's focus on the elected, the city council, because that's a big thing. They were very excited that the majority, is African American women or Black women of color. The first city council president being African American. A lot of things have been happening here for African Americans, and a lot more needs to be done. 1,000%. 1,000%. But I want you to have this energy for things like mental health. Again, I'm going to always keep going there. Drug addiction, because that's impacting the Hispanic and Black community way more than Mayor Spano's comments. Way more than his comments. And I was talking to a kid not too long ago, and she was telling me about how she has a friend in school, and she was just kind of saying one of the things that she kind of talks about, counseling type of thing, talks about her day and stuff. And she was saying about her friend who's African American, always says to her, why are you not, why you say that? Oh, why are you doing it? Is it because I'm Black? Is it because I'm Black? And so I just started to think is, what's in her mind that, she feels has this insecurity maybe, or she always has to say it because the girl was saying, kind of like, it's not because I don't anything because she's Black. I don't even care that she's Black, but she keeps saying it. And, the girl probably has been hearing this so much. We have to learn to empower. Let's talk about empowering. Let's talk about empowering, and let's talk about how the city council, right? Majority leader, African American, and they're not empowering the African American community. They're not empowering the Hispanic community. They're not. Let's talk about that. Let's write statements about that. Let's put out letters about that. Let's put out letters how they're letting down the African American community because they're letting us rot there with mental health and drug addiction. Out in the cold because we're homeless. Let's talk about that. Let's put out statements for that. Where's the energy for that? Why are we always having this energy for these, what do you call these new society things? I forgot what the term that they were using, It's always these, critical race theory or some something for the LGBTQ community. And that's great. And I'm not saying there's no needs there, whatever, but let's get down to the root where we have the issues. The issues are at home. The kids in the community, before they get to all this stuff, that's growing up with issues. Let's put out statements for that. Let's put out letters for that. Let's put our energy on that. Because you guys weren't attacking the mayor not that long ago. Guys were buddy with the mayor. Everything was all good when he's endorsing you guys, right? It's all love. There's no racism then, right? You don't mind him having at one of your events. I'm sure if you needed to throw an event right now because you were running for re-election and you needed funding, you would surely love to have Mr. Spano up at your event. Welcome him with open arms. Roll out the red carpet. All right? So come on with the nonsense and the fakeness. We got real issues to address, folks. We got real issues to address. All right? If you believe that his statements with this and that, then vote him out. Or vote the next people out. And make sure you vote out the council. Because guess what? They're not doing nothing to check them. They're not doing anything to advance the Black community, the African American community, the Hispanic community. Right? So why don't you vote them out? It's great that we have, people who are breaking records or making history. And that's great, but that's superficial. That's superficial. If you got kids still feeling so insecure in the community that they always got to say, well, it's because I'm Black, it's because I'm Black, or, I'm not going to be somebody because I'm poor, or I'm not going to be somebody because I'm Black, or because I'm Hispanic. And that's what I've been told repeatedly in my head, that somebody's out there to get me. Rather than empowering them and saying, you could do whatever you want. And there are going to be obstacles, but you have to stay focused. You have to make sure that you don't slip up, which is why you got to be on point all the time, 100%. And unfortunately, it's like that. But hey, what are you going to do about it? We're going to buckle up, tighten up, and go out there and do it, because that's the only way I've seen people make it. Right? So, like, look, if we're going to call them out for being a racist, then call them out, call everybody out. Okay? Let's get people to vote now, because the next step, because one of the things they said in that podcast, right? And I believe Keisha Skipper made this, asked this question was, what do we do now? What do we do next? What's the next step? You put the next step is you focus on educating and empowering the African-American community, the Black community, the impoverished community, and anyone that wants to do well and wants to make a positive change, whatever color they are. And you empower them and you teach them about politics and you help them understand why it's important to get out there and vote. That's how you create change. And you see to it that they go out there and vote. And then once they vote and we get people that are going to be in there, that are going to really be about the people, then we make sure that we get these things that they need, these programs, these services, get them in place, manage this money, right, that we receive, the city receives, to assure that our most important priorities are addressed, which is education, our kids, our communities, our street housing, mental health, drug addiction. Okay, racism somewhere there. Because I don't think we're ever going to stop racism. Again, it's a form of hate. It's just a form of hate. And the people are going to have, so we have to, I want to address the important things. Otherwise, we're not going to see change. We're going to be doing this for 2032. 2042, 2052, we're going to complain about that next mayor. Because guess what? Nobody came out to vote. So guess what? Another mayor that may be racist is in there. That's what's going to happen. So plan of action, okay? So if the city council, which is a majority Black, African-American women, are not supporting you guys, then guess what? You got to vote them out. And forget the statement, forget all that. You talk to the community and say, hey, guys, we need to vote, okay? Because these folks, they don't care about us. It's very obvious, and it doesn't matter what color they are. They don't care about us. Their support comes from those individuals that you're making statements about. All right? So, come on. What do you expect? The city council members have no scruples. Look what they did to Mike Cater, yet a letter signed by a resident sent to IG office. They act like they don't know. They don't care what the residents got to say. It doesn't matter if you're Black or white. When they said that, Blacks have, in the community have spoken out, have said something and it goes ignored. Yeah. And so do white people, right? The gentleman that wrote that letter is white and he's gone ignored. He's gone ignored because, again, it's about class. That's the bottom line. Because look at the city council, right? If it was about race, we would have 4 Black women there, 4 women of color. And yeah, we need more people of color in departments like building department head, police department. But guess what? It's not about race. It's about a system, right? A group of individuals that want to put certain individuals in place to keep a control. It's not about whether they're Black or white, because they put Black individuals in there and Hispanic individuals over there. And guess what? Why they do it? Because those are the ones that make sure they work with their control method, right? And that's like what the council is doing. Definition of insanity: doing the same thing over and over and expecting change. Albert Einstein: people need to vote. Demand accountability and transparency. Exactly. And that's my point. And that's my point. And that's why I want to end it, right? We can't keep doing the same thing over and over. And this is no disrespect to nobody. Please don't anyone take this as disrespect, okay? This is me just expressing how I feel and what I think about this. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Don't take any disrespect, okay? But again, like Carolyn said, insanity. Because how many times we're going to protest, how many times we're going to put out statements, how many times we're going to demand apologies. And guess what? Be lucky if you get one. And what does that say? you know what? That sends the message that we're weak. And people are going to say, you know what? What's the point? So why enter a losing battle? Right? Why make yourself look weak by going into a losing battle, losing, and then you're not going to get the support? People are weak. Why even bother? Oh, forget it. I don't care what they say. No, forget that. Let's focus our energy on where we can actually do something. Making sure that we educate people, help them understand what's happening, help them understand what we need to do to create the change. Why is it that we need to create this change? And who we need to vote out. That's what we need to focus on. Got elections coming up. Don't have much time, okay? So you can hope that you get an apology, and maybe you will. But from what I'm hearing, I doubt it. I doubt he's even going to address it. That's just from what I'm hearing from sources close to him, and that may be what's going to happen. So you probably won't get an apology, okay? That's just how it is. And again, and I hope that this isn't also race. It's not about a race. And so now, when I said racism, is it racism or is it race? Is this about the Congress, the race for Congress? Are people being strategic? Are they looking to weaken the mayor, make him look bad? And again, I got to put both sides out there. I got to be fair. Because I want to see change. So I'm focusing how we actually do it. I don't want to just, I want to actually see it getting done. So I put it all out there. Is this about the race? Is this about trying to attack them and set them up? Because you're not going after the city council. They should be saying something. But then again, look at the city council. I mean, is it about racism or is it about race? Is this about the race for Congress? Look at Mayor Spano and what he shows you. Show me someone in his executive board that is a minority. See what he is showing us and believe him. I don't know everybody in his executive board. I know I spoke to Jamaal. I believe he's a minority from his office. I know there's another last name Vasquez, aide of Anita. She works in the mayor's office. Sinead Williams was up in there. She was there for years, since 2012. She's the mayor's girl from what I hear. Let me see who else. I don't know everybody that's in the mayor's office. So again, and I'm not saying that maybe more people of color don't need to be hired. What I'm saying is, how are we going to actually see that happen? That's my point. How are we going to make that happen? Because we could talk about it and we could say these things and these little, but what are we actually going to do? Right? And are we holding everybody accountable? Because if we just hold certain people accountable, now we're half-assing, half-stepping, and we're not going to see change like that. We have to address everybody. It doesn't matter what color you are. If you're not doing right by the people, you're out of here. You're out of here. Point blank, period. That's it. So that's what I'm trying to say. Forget making this about race. Yeah, there's a man a racist? Probably. I don't know. Neither do I care. Because I see people that are looking just like me or even darker than me, not doing much either. So why am I going to focus on the racial part of it? Let's focus on the part that people are in there that ain't doing anything. And we need to vote them out. Okay? They're puppets. They're run by individuals. We know them. We know who they are. Convicted felons, managing their campaigns, managing their every move. They're not African American. They're not Hispanic. And that's how they operate. So technically, we could just look at them as a non-black woman, because the majority leader, her campaign strategist, convicted felon. And Sinead Williams the same. Non-African American, non-Hispanic. So that's my point. I don't care if he's Mayor Spano's racist or not. And personally, I don't think that was a race statement, but whatever. If you believe so, then hold everybody accountable is what I'm saying. And my focus is, how do we actually change this? And who should we hold accountable? How do we go about making a change? We vote the people out. And it doesn't matter what color they are. Because those that are looking just like us are not doing much for us either. So that's my point. So let's focus on what we can control. Let's educate people. Let's inform the folks. Let's get them to come out and vote, because 20,000 people for a citywide race here in a city that's the third largest in the state of New York, over 200,000 people, 20,000 people sucks. Actually, it was less than 10% because it's 213,000 people. And how many of that were African American and Hispanic? How many? How many? I want to know that. And let's put a press release out about that. Attention, attention, Latinos, we need to vote. Come out and vote. Because if you're concerned with racism, then you have to come out and vote. If you're concerned with the mayor or whoever being a racist, you have to come out and vote. And you have to get involved. And we have to call out the sellouts. Those that are African American, those that are black, that are there and not saying nothing. Those organizations that are getting money and saying nothing. Call them out. Clean house. No? What we're trying to do is clean up all the garbage around the home while the inside is dirty itself. We got to clean house too. Okay, let's start there. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Have a blessed night. Have a happy week. Best of luck. Thank you for joining me. And remember, if you want to see change, you got to focus on what you can control. You could demand an apology all you want, but I doubt you're going to get it. And even if you did, and let's educate people. Let's get our folks out to vote. All right? As a city, let's unite and let's make the change that we want to see. Okay? That's at the polls. Point blank, period. There's no other way. Have a great night. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Again, this is Basement Politics. Thank you for joining me. I love you, beautiful folks. Enjoy your week. Have a blessed one.
Let's get it popping.
Hi, I'm Freddie Vasquez. That was Basement Politics Unfiltered. Was it racism or was it about a race? You decide, or does it even matter? If we want to make change here in the city, we actually have to work on what we can control. And what we do is we vote. Vote the individuals out. Assure that we find viable candidates who seek to make true change here in the city. Talking in circles will get us nowhere. We've been doing that for a long time now. And this is no offense, no diss to anybody. I just want to see change